Over the years, Taehyung and Jungkook have shared many moments where their connection seemed to surpass any limits. During this recent live broadcast, there were scenes that caught the public's attention. The two constantly appeared together, with a natural closeness, without trying to hide the comfort they feel when being next to each other. Although on some occasions they seemed to look to the side, possibly because someone on the staff was telling them to keep their distance, this time they didn't mind that as much. They continued sharing as they have many times, being themselves, without pretense. There are those who prefer not to see Taehyung and Jungkook together for so long, and it's not just a coincidence. Many know that when they are around each other without restrictions, they let their feelings show more clearly. This creates discomfort for some people, especially when that closeness breaks with the narratives that others try to construct. Because of this, the time they can spend together on camera is limited. However, something different happened in this live. There were no masks. There were no forced performances, and although some tensions were noticeable behind the scenes, Jungkook didn't hold back. From the beginning, Jungkook made it clear that Taehyung remains an important figure in his life. The small gestures he shared with him weren't simple displays of affection between colleagues, they were specific signs that many fans instantly remembered. One such moment was when Jungkook touched Taehyung's neck, giving him small, natural and gentle massages. This gesture was the same one he used to perform on other occasions, especially on previous broadcasts where the two interacted spontaneously. The most interesting thing of all is that these types of gestures have been absent for a long time. Precisely because the company has chosen to give more visibility to the fan service between Jungkook and Jimin. This shift in focus has been evident not only in the type of content posted, but also in the public activities in which they have been assigned to participate together. Many fans noticed that in various performances and programs, Jungkook has appeared alongside Jimin in situations that seem forced or overly scripted. In contrast, the connection he displayed with Taehyung in this live didn't seem to follow any script, it was honest and transparent. Jungkook didn't need words to show how he truly felt. His body language spoke volumes, the way he looked at him, the way he sought him out, the way he smiled when they were together. He didn't seem to be fulfilling a task or playing a role, rather, he seemed to have found a space where he could finally relax and be himself. This naturalness is what many of Taekook's fans have always valued, the fact that they don't need to act to demonstrate the kind of relationship that unites them. Some claim that Jungkook was forced to participate alongside Taehyung in this broadcast, and that his attitude was the result of an external order. However, that theory loses ground when you look at his behavior more closely. While it's true that every artist must follow certain rules and comply with company guidelines, there are details that can't be faked. Jungkook was authentic, without forcing gestures or smiles. Everything he did in front of the camera conveyed closeness, trust, and real affection. Not the kind of affection acted out for a marketing story, but one that comes from shared experiences. It's also important to remember that the moments they share in front of the public are only a fraction of everything they've been through. What's seen on camera is minimal compared to what happens behind the scenes. And while many try to minimize what exists between them, the facts still speak for themselves. Over time, they have demonstrated a constant connection, a connection that remains even when they're not together on stage. The way Jungkook cares for Taehyung, and how he responds with gestures of genuine appreciation, allows us to understand that their relationship isn't scripted. Nor is it defined by what others say or want to see, they follow their own path, one that is sometimes not visible to everyone, but that remains steadfast despite external attempts to separate them. In this live, they simply let that truth emerge in a subtle but very meaningful way. The truth is that Taekook has gone through many stages, some more visible than others. However, there are always signs that remind us that their bond remains alive, although they share fewer public moments now. When they do, they leave a mark that fans cannot ignore. Beyond theories or imposed narratives, the relationship between Taehyung and Jungkook continues to build with authenticity. Once again, Taehyung and Jungkook left a clear and strong mark in their most recent live appearance. Their closeness, their gestures, and the kind of connection they demonstrated during that group moment once again reminded us why so many people believe in the unique bond that has united them for years. From the first moment of the live, Jungkook's attitude was distinct. He displayed a particular energy when interacting with Taehyung. He seemed happy, comfortable, and expressive. There were gestures of affection that didn't go unnoticed. Jungkook caressed Taehyung's neck on several occasions, an action we've seen between them before, and he also placed his hand on his abdomen in a gesture that seemed very natural, as if he needed to reconnect with him physically after a long time apart. The most interesting thing is that these attitudes weren't forced or exaggerated. On the contrary, they felt authentic. Jungkook seemed to seek out Taehyung with his eyes, approaching him on his own initiative and staying by his side as if he were his safe place. The way they looked at each other reflected love. These are the looks that say more than any words could. Some tried to deflect attention by saying it was all fan service, as if their closeness was the result of a business decision. But those who have followed Taekook for a long time know that these kinds of gestures aren't artificially constructed. There's a clear difference between a planned scene and a dynamic that flows naturally. And here in this live, it was evident that what was happening between them wasn't an act, it was a clear display of love, affection, and trust. Many also noticed the difference in Jungkook's behavior when he was with other members, especially compared to Jimin. During this live, Jungkook didn't show the same kind of connection when he was with Jimin. His body language was much more reserved. Even when Jungkook was spotted at the airport, Jungkook didn't have any meaningful interaction with Jimin. But with Taehyung, it was different. Jungkook smiled effortlessly, showed genuine joy, and you could tell he was comfortable simply being around him. It's in these spontaneous moments, unscripted and unforced by cameras, that you see the difference between an image strategy and a real bond. This isn't the first time Taekook has given such clear signs of their feelings for each other. They've shared intimate moments, gestures of love, and indirect declarations that, over time, have formed a coherent narrative. They don't need to convince anyone, their connection is felt. And those who have followed their story know that the strongest thing they have is precisely that, a genuine connection that remains even with the passage of time, distance, or media pressure. This live show was just further proof of what has been shown for years, that Taehyung and Jungkook have a very special bond, and that being together brings them calm, security, and joy. Their expressions spoke volumes. They didn't act to please the public, they shared a moment of authenticity. And that authenticity is what makes so many of us support them, what makes so many of us see in them a story worth observing and appreciating. When Taehyung and Jungkook are together, their body language becomes clearer than any public statement. They don't have to confirm anything with words, because their actions do the rest. The way they look at each other, the closeness they maintain, and the freedom with which they touch each other show something that goes beyond habit or simple affinity. It's something that only arises when there's a true bond between two people who share something deep. They don't need to say it. The connection between them is evident in how they behave around each other. They don't seem tense or uncomfortable, on the contrary, they feel free, as if they don't have to hide anything. And most importantly, this attitude is repeated. It's not a one-off moment or a scene for the cameras. It's constant. Every time they're together, they once again demonstrate that same bond without needing to justify it. They do it naturally, as if it were part of them. That naturalness is what draws attention. There's no planning, no acting, no exaggeration. Their movements are simple, yet very meaningful. A touch, a smile, a sustained gaze. Small details, yes, but when repeated enough times, they end up telling a story clearer than any verbal explanation. Neither of them acts as if they have to prove anything. They aren't concerned with how others see them, because they simply allow themselves to be themselves. That freedom they feel with each other is what strengthens the impression that their relationship is already built, that it's not something new or superficial. It's something that has developed over time, with trust and closeness. And even if there are those who try to deny what they see, the moments keep piling up. Every scene, every gesture, every attitude reinforces that same idea, that there is something between Taehyung and Jungkook that doesn't need to be explained with words. Because their way of expressing themselves is proof enough that they are connected in a way that many fail to understand, but that is felt every time they share space. One of the most striking things about Taehyung and Jungkook's relationship is that their actions don't feel forced or staged for entertainment. There's an emotional routine behind their gestures. When they touch each other without fear or when they maintain closeness without thinking about their surroundings, it doesn't seem like they're acting on impulse. Rather, it gives the impression that this way of treating each other is part of their daily routine. As if it were an established way of being with each other.